Let's start with the attempt to undo the president's prime achievement of this year. Sam Stein is White House correspondent for the Huffington Post, and Gene Cummings is the assistant managing editor for Politico. Gene, I want you to start with this whole decision. They called it off for just a week. They're coming back, but they're still calling it the job-killing health care bill. Explain the way that they fine-tune the tone here, or are they off-tone?
Well, there are some Republicans who would prefer to rename it in light of what happened in Tucson, but apparently they're not willing to go quite that far. I do think, though, that we will see a change in tone. It's a message that Speaker John Boehner and his lieutenants are taking with them to Baltimore this weekend for the Republican House retreat, and they will be telling their members to raise issues of substance, to explain why the policy in the bill is wrong for the country and that that's the reason it should be repealed. So what we're going to see is a health care debate that we really haven't seen so far, because every other health care debate we've seen has been full of the sort of incendiary accusations and characterizations of it.
Yeah, it's almost like whatever he does is no good. Let's kill it because it's his. Here's House Majority Leader Eric Cantor, spokesperson, talking today. Quote, "It is important for Congress to get back to work. And to that end, we will resume thoughtful consideration of the health care bill next week." Sam, it seems to me that it is a big question. So much of this attack on Obama has been ad hominem, directed at the person, the president. Whether it's some cracker out there on the right calling him some birther type who says he's not an American, or it's somebody a little more sophisticated, but basically saying he's a socialist. Will this be on the merits of the bill? Will they stay off the personal? Is it your hunch coming into Wednesday's vote?
I mean, I think it's going to be on the merits of the bill, but, you know, we have to consider the fact that this is all theater. No one actually expects that this is going to go anywhere. It'll pass the House and die in the Senate. So this is going to be taken care of pretty quickly. And then I think in a couple months we're actually going to get to the real debate, which is over whether or not they're going to fund key measures of this bill. That's the actual substance there. This is basically kabuki theater designed to please the Tea Partiers.
Let's take a look at some of these people coming into Congress. Dan Quayle's son is now a member of Congress. And here's what he's saying about this week. Quote, his name's Ben, of course. He's a new member of Congress from out in Arizona. "I think it's important that the discourse between one another can be one of ideas. We can disagree without being disagreeable." Well, that's a rather banal way of putting anything. But it's so banal, but you have to question where this guy's coming from. Here's where he's coming from. Here's his campaign ad that got him into office so he could talk like this. Let's listen to what he has to say here in his ad that got him into office.
Barack Obama is the worst president in history. And my generation will inherit a weakened country. Somebody has to go to Washington and knock the hell out of the place.
You know, Gene, he comes off as a knucklehead. I mean, I'm sorry, that's an ad of a knucklehead. The look is zombie-like, weird-looking, is the way he's presenting himself to the camera. And then he says this total historic statement like he's a student of history. Who's this, Richard Hofstadter? The worst president in history. Has he gone through each presidency? Has he examined the merits and demerits of each president and come to this cosmic solution? Or is he just an idiot? And I'm serious about that. Making comments like he's the worst president in history when he's been in office about a year and a half is not a serious comment by anybody. Got him elected, though, in probably a right-wing district. And now he's coming off as some sort of, I don't know, papal peacemaker saying, I think it's important the discourse between one another be one of ideas. Can we agree without or disagree without being disagreeable? Are we to believe such talk? Gene Cummings?
Well, Chris, the point
Are we to believe a guy like this? Are we to believe a person who got elected like this is serious about serious discourse and deliberation?
I think none of this is going to last. We will revert to business as usual. And I think one of the reasons is we have to look at why the rhetoric got out of control. And really, it's on both sides. Alan Grayson, a Democrat from Florida, became famous because of the things he said in the well that were controversial. And that is true.
Yeah, but he's gone.
He's gone.
He's fortunately gone, you might argue, but he's gone.
True, but there are others. And that's the point. I mean, the reason the rhetoric gets so intense is because it gets attention. It's satisfying.
Okay.
They get headlines. You know, it's a place of 435 people. How do you stand out? This is one way that they can.
Okay.
And if they have a nice, thoughtful debate, it may not be very satisfying for them.
Gene, you're a straight reporter. I have great respect for your reporting, a great respect. But you were suggesting that this is even-handed, that the ferocity of the attack from the right has been equaled by the ferocity from the left. If that were the case, why are the people all this week saying we ought to be able to be ferocious in our speech? The Republicans on the far right, not even Republicans, the far right are saying, don't get in the way of our ferocious attacks and rhetoric. Let's take a look at the worst breach of etiquette I've come across in years. Here's Joe Wilson's famous outburst from South Carolina during a presidential address to Congress. Let's listen.
There are also those who claim that our reform efforts would ensure illegal immigrants. This, too, is false. The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally. It's not true.
Gene? Is there anything commensurate that from the left? I can't think of anything from the left that's been as atrociously improper as that comment during a meeting of the president with the Congress.
I'll agree with you that that was way over the top, but there are plenty of times we could go back and look at footage of President Bush giving his State of the Union, and the Democrats did not sit politely in their seats and clap. They reacted in ways that were sometimes, over the top. It showed the fact that they didn't agree.
Lie, though.
No, they did not. That is, I said from the beginning that one takes us to a new level. I'll grant you that.
What I am surprised by is the overt nature of the defense of ferocious speech by the right this past week. I listen to Fox, I listen to people arguing. It seems like they're defending atrocious behavior. Why are they doing that? Gene?
Why are they defending it? Well, with the talk show hosts, it's their livelihood, for heaven's sakes. They want to hang on to the right to be able to do that. And, it is how they get read. By being more and more controversial, they get more and more people listening to them. They get a lot of attention. And, of course, they want to protect that. But, again, you're going to accuse me of wishy-washy here. But we have Michael Kinsley.
I'm accusing you of a straight analysis, but I think sometimes you're missing some of the disequilibrium here. Well, I do think that. Well, let me go back to Sam. I hear a lot of surprisingly harsh language from people like Palin, Governor Palin, saying, hey, look, we used to have duels. This is nothing. What a strange reference point. Skipping back 100, going back to Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, although she skipped past Zell Miller, who said to me he wished he could have a duel with me, the great Zell Miller, and I don't knock him, but he did do that to me, Sam.
Sure. Well, they're originalists, right? Listen, I think a big part of the conservative ethos is that they constantly feel like they're being told what to do. They're being told what's out of bounds. They're being told what's PC and what's not PC. And they say, screw it. They don't want to be told that. And I think they get a lot of, as Gene's right, you get a lot of fundraising attention. You get a lot of publicity if you're a little bit out there. And I think they want to defend their ability to be out there. I think they feel like the liberal media, for what it's worth, has told them that they've been off base with respect to the Arizona shooting. And they don't want to take it sitting down.
Well, let's get really smart now and looking ahead, Gene. The Republicans have to get rid of health care. They need to get a good vote this week to make their case on Wednesday to knock it down in the House, just to make the point. How can they do that and at the same time not seem to revert to the worst kind of ferocity?
Well, I think, Chris, that as I said earlier, this debate on Wednesday may indeed not be very satisfying for some, because they have to take the vote. They promised to take the vote. They will. As Sam said, it's just it doesn't matter. It's theater, but. It would have been, for them, I think, a lot more satisfying theater if they could have dragged out all of those campaign lines that they had honed so nicely out there when they were before the Tea Party audiences. And, I think it's going to be it could be boring, that they're going to say, well, I'm opposed to provision, blah, blah, blah.
Hey, Gene, you're great.
Right?
Thank you so much. Gene, so much. Great for having you on. And Sam, of course.